Welcome to GBIRL, the podcast looking at the real business world of esports, gaming, and streaming with the people and personalities behind it all. Here is your host, Bill the Conqueror.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. And I love stories. I love also being involved in the story. And when I do these interviews, I try to not be directly involved with the story that I'm trying to tell, because I think it kind of makes it seem like I'm biased. But this is definitely one of those stories that I will break my own rule and get personally involved in, because this person that you see on the screen with me, she's the Iron Belle. My interactions with her have been interesting, and this is like the first time we've actually talked face to face. I spent a lot of time on her stream listening to her because she's hilariously honest. And when I found Belle, I was at a point where I was working for a group and we wanted to put on events, and she was playing PUBG on a competitive level, and it thought we were going to do something, and then we didn't. And it's just like this long, drawn out kind of story process. But I thought it would be really fascinating to get to know Belle, because she has a really interesting story that I think a lot of people will benefit from hearing. So today I have with me the Iron Belle. She's a streamer. She has been doing it for, I want to say,
years.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a few years, gone through a couple of, I guess, variations in how you play, why you play, what you do. I mean, when I found you, you're playing PUBG pretty hardcore, and you kind of shifted for a bit. But before we get into the super story of how, who you are and what you do, thank you for being on my podcast today. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
All right. So, backstory, like I said, I was involved with a group. We were putting on events and trying to build a platform, and I reached out to you because you're playing PUBG, and it's like, we want to put on a PUBG event, sort of a competitive thing. And I reached out to you, and I gave you all the rundown, very specific, like, here's what we want to do, here's why we want to do it. And you said that, you said to me, I'll take a look and I'll get back to you. And I'm like, okay, well, she didn't say no, so it's probably going to happen. And then you said that you didn't want to do it. And at that time, in the online world, there was this big movement. It's still going on today, but at the time, there was a big emphasis on supporting female streamers and being, I almost hate using this word, but sort of empowering them. And you said no to me, and I'm like, but wait a minute, I was like giving you an opportunity. And so it was at that point I realized, okay, here's what empowering looks like, is that you have the right to say no, and I have the right to act like an adult when you say no, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, okay. So kind of take me back to that time in your life when you were, and it's obvious now to people who watch you, you were a totally different streamer then, right?
Yes. Yeah, it was very different at that time. At that point, I'd been streaming for, if the timeline is right in my mind, I'd been streaming for almost a year, maybe a little longer. So I was still relatively new. I was just falling in love with PUBG. It was my first FPS game. When I first started streaming, I originally played WoW, and I only streamed like 2 nights a week.
Right.
So I found PUBG, didn't even know how to move with like the WASD keys, right? So it's been a very big glow up. Like I've learned a lot. And you approached me about it, and I was like, oh my God, someone wants to work with me? Like, this is huge. That's crazy.
Right.
But then I looked at your proposal, and there was money involved, and it seemed like there was a little bit of gambling, and I was like, no, like, I don't know anything about this.
Okay.
I was working so hard on creating a community where everybody felt, well, not necessarily everybody felt welcome. I wanted good people to feel welcome. I didn't want trolls or bullies or anyone like that there. So I was putting a lot of time and energy in that. And I was also really focusing on getting good at the game. So I was super hesitant to step out of that lane into anything at all that could be remotely complicated.
Right.
So I was just like, yeah, no, we're not doing it. Like, we're not going to sell out for a little bit of money and risk the hard work that we've put into the stream, or risk something that could happen with PUBG or break the rules somehow. So it was really bittersweet, because it was one of those moments that initially I was super excited about.
Right.
And then as I looked through it and I realized how out of my depth I was, part of my brain was like, well, you could just ask him about it. And the other part of my brain was like, no, we have a plan. We want to do this. We have to accomplish that. So we're just not going to do it. And that's how it went.
Okay. And I, I will freely admit at the time, I'm like, what did I say wrong? I mean, what's wrong? I mean, we're not breaking laws. We're not doing anything wrong. We're
Right.
just, we just want to put on an event to highlight this platform and get some good streamers. And I'm trying to provide somebody with I mean, I literally searched PUBG streamers and dropped into your stream and go, hey, I like sat there for maybe 20 minutes watching you. I'm like, okay, she's got a vibe. She's good. And she interacts in chat. We can work with that. And then I'm like, okay. And I think that's sort of like a mindset switch of, wow. So she said, no, what? I don't understand. And I can see why people get really upset about that. Is that they feel like they come from a good place of, I'm just trying to help here. And if you got questions, I'll answer, I'll work with you. And then you say no, and they take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when especially in business, you try not to take things personally. So, okay, so you said no, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's your community, your stream. I'm not gonna be like an idiot about it. Okay, there are many PUBG streamers out there. So then I left, and then I think I came back at some point. I like dropped into your stream and said hi or whatever, and kind of hung out. So when I came back, that after you had said no, were you like afraid of what happened?
I was honestly a little surprised.
Right.
I can remember feeling relieved when you responded the way that you did, because I was like, I really don't know what to say if he
Mm-hmm.
pushes back. Like, I
Right.
don't know how I'm going to, it's a gut instinct that I'm following. I
Mm-hmm.
could ask him for more information, but I didn't want to lead you on, because
Right.
I knew that I was very, very hesitant. So I was super nervous about it. I was like, oh, no. And then I felt kind of sad, because I didn't want to lose someone from my community that
Right.
saw potential in me. Like that's the last thing you want. Someone's that's treated you with respect,
Right.
that hasn't bullied you, and then all of a sudden they're just not going to be around.
Right.
So when you did come back, I was like, hey, he's still here. That's so awesome. And so I remember just being, I remember the exact moment it happened.
Wow.
I was so surprised. Yeah, because I was like, oh my God, he actually came back. I was like, control your facial face. Because I have no poker face at all.
Right.
None. That's why people make fun of me, because they're like, well, you're so honest. I'm like, I have to be honest. You can see my face. Like, and so, yeah, the first thing I thought was, oh my God, he came back. Don't look too happy. That's what I thought.
Don't look too happy.
Don't look too happy. You don't want to make him think that you're reconsidering the offer, because you're not, but you're still super glad he's here. Yeah, that was my reaction.
And I remember for me, I actually made a point. Like, look, if I say that I want to support women online in gaming, in business, regardless of it, then the real power is being able to say no, and then still being able to interact with somebody.
Yes.
That
100%.
that right there is the power. Is that I'm not you. I don't have your experiences. I think I'm trying to provide a good opportunity, but if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. And I've been turned down multiple times. Proposals to companies and blah blah blah. I've been turned down, and so for me, that mental shift of, all right, well, if I am the person that I say I am, then I need to go back and just hang out and just be there. Just find out more about this person, because I found her interesting initially for a reason, and then that reason didn't come to fruition. So what kind of a person am I if I only see this person as a tool. So let's go find out about this person. So I guess that sort of speaks to a larger question of, at that time you were pretty hardcore into PUBG, and then there was a space where you kind of took a break for a while, right?
Yeah. So I got a new job, and here's the fun part that most people don't know. I took this new job so I could stream more.
Wow.
I specifically took a job that was second shift so that I could stream in the mornings, which are typically, it's interesting how it works. There's less people watching in the mornings because a lot of them are at work. But if you're someone who can entertain, you're likely to get more people watching you because there's also less people streaming.
Exactly.
So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, if you've really got it, you can do really well in the mornings.
Yep.
But if you don't, you should probably start off in the evenings. And that sounds a little bit arrogant, but I had spent a lot of time. I'd spent over 2 years at that point building my community. And I had a lot of friends that I knew could watch me while they were at home, had a lot of friends over in EU who would be home.
Right.
So I was confident enough that I took a new job to make this leap. I was like, we're doing it, like I was with my last company for 3 years and I wanted to be somewhere else. So I'd been shopping around, and when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, okay, pros and cons. There are 0 cons. I want out of this company, but the pros are like, I have a schedule where I could get a tan. I won't look like a ghost all of the time. I'll be able to stream in the mornings. I'll be able to stream more because I won't be, wasting time getting home from work because I knew I was going to be working remotely at least some of the time.
Right.
And then I took the new job and I started working insane amounts of overtime. I was able to stick to the morning schedule from March through June pretty consistently. And I was pulling the best numbers I'd ever seen.
Right.
So it was a good choice. But in July, I basically just started dealing with burnout. Like I became very fatigued. I didn't want to wash my hair. Like we reached that level of just exhausted. I was going through dry shampoo faster than I think is even humanly possible.
Wow.
And it just kind of got to the point where I was like, I can't do this. I think I topped out my busiest week. I worked 72 hours and then I still streamed. I think it was 38 hours that week.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. And I was so upset whenever I got there because I did take this job to stream. Like I want to stream. Like I believe in myself. I can get partner. I can make a career out of this. But then it just got to the point where it's like, okay, but I'm not partner now and I have to pay my bills.
Right.
And I'm not a medical professional who's pushing their body to the limit to save lives. I'm a streamer and like I can't do this. So I gave myself what was supposed to be a month of just inconsistency, just to kind of recuperate. And it took longer, not because of how exhausted I was. I took the job getting out of management. It was supposed to be an easy job. And then your girl did too well and they put me back in management. So during those 6 months, I ended up structuring and developing a call center, building the training processes, hand selecting the people we had employed and training them for specific processes, and then managing that call center.
Wow.
Yeah. So it went very differently than how I anticipated. And I knew that eventually I was going to be pulled out of that role and put into the role I was hired for.
Okay.
So that happened in November, but the training schedule was still super inconsistent. So I was like, okay, as soon as I'm on a steady schedule, because that's the thing that a lot of people don't know. Whenever I was from July through November, 1 week I would be working nights. The next week I would be working days and I didn't have a day off. So it would be like, I would go to sleep and then wake up and go to work like immediately. And it was like that for about 6 months. So I physically couldn't stream because I was constantly either working or sleeping, or trying to go to the grocery. So I was waiting for a set schedule because the worst thing I could do would be to come back and be like, I'm here and I'm streaming, but my schedule is going to be different every week. So you're just going to have to be here when you can be here. I didn't want to do that.
Right.
I hate when people do that. It's a personal pet peeve of mine. There's a lot of streamers who are just streamers, but I'm also a viewer. Like there are times whenever I'll dip into streams and they're like, oh, are you a streamer? And I'm like, well, if I was, I'm not going to self-promote. But right now, I'm just here as a viewer. Like, I just want to be a viewer. You know, I don't want to network with you.
Right.
And so I've seen streamers do that, and I hate it. Like, I'm like, look, if you need time away, go be away. But don't ping pong back and forth. Like, that's super frustrating. I'll unfollow you. Like, not to be a jerk, but I will unfollow you if you do that. So I didn't want to do that to my community. So I was like, okay, it's going to be November. Wait, no, they want me to do extensive training. No, wait. And so then what was supposed to be 2 months of training turned into, or was supposed to do 2 weeks of training turned into 2 months of training because I didn't know they were promoting me. Like I was just supposed to be a dispatcher. They promoted me to the supervisor of dispatching. So I was like, it's not what we agreed on. And it was bittersweet because it came with a good pay bump.
Right.
But now I'm salary. So anytime they want me to work,
right,
I have to work. You know what I mean? So yeah, it went from some pretty crazy intense hours that paid off. Like I was pulling 40 or 50 viewers a stream pretty organically, like no raids. Like people just wanted to hang out.
Yep.
And that felt really good to pretty much no streams for about 6 months. It was
so okay.
It was hard and fast.
Right. So right there's an interesting comparison because like you said, you have to pay your bills. You have to like eat and feed your cat and have a place to live, and you have to pay for all this, you know, you pay for your computer and your monitor and your keyboard. You have to be able to do that. So I guess for what people see on screen as, you know, hey, there's this streamer and she's really good at PUBG and she's pulling, you know, pulling viewers, you know, she's getting 40 at a time concurrently. So you're the kind of person who's brutally honest, like, look, is this stream pulling 40 concurrents, is it paying me enough that exactly. And so you have to have an IRL job where you're like, okay, you know, I like to have nice things, you know, you have a boyfriend, you have a cat, but you don't have kids. So there isn't that, which if you have kids, that makes it even more difficult because, but I mean, so I'm sure you sat down and you looked at, okay, streaming gives me X dollars. This job that I thought I was getting but turned into something else gives me Y dollars.
Yeah.
So when you had to make that decision and you had to walk away, you had to basically walk away from the community that you had built, which a lot of people spend a lot of time on, and it's one of those things where you grind, and that's the actual phrase I like to use. You literally grind for years to get to a point where you can break even, right? And so when you had to make that decision, and you're like, I gotta walk away from all these people that show up in my stream every week. Whoa, what's that like?
I wasted a lot of mascara. I'll put it like that. It was so hard.
Wow. Okay.
I told my boyfriend was instrumental in getting me through it because when I would pop on stream, like whenever I got a chance to, the numbers were halved or even quartered. And numbers aren't supposed to matter, right? Because each viewer is a person, and you should be grateful that even a single person wants to hang out with you. That's the truth of it.
Right.
And every streamer knows that. But the reality is when you've been to a certain point and you've had that kind of success and you've developed a little bit of an ego, which everyone does. I'm not a super proud, super arrogant person, but everyone kind of builds up that confidence. And they're like, oh yeah, like these people want to hang out with me. When you see all of that hard work kind of crumble, it hurt. Like it's so devastating. It's hard to bring yourself to sit in front of a camera and play a video game when you're like, well, dang, like I let these people down. Like they don't want to hang out with me. And my boyfriend Tyler, who's also a streamer, he would just constantly remind me, like, you're not a sellout. You're not here for the people that are fair weather viewers. You're here for the people who honestly have your back. And those people are going to come back. Like, those people are not going anywhere. And he was right. Like, I've been streaming fairly consistently since mid-January. And the real ones are coming back. You know, there's a lot of people who I'll only see if I play PUBG.
Right.
And then there's people that I only see if I play Tarkov, because I primarily played Tarkov from November of 2019 through May of 2020. That was kind of my main game, because PUBG just got in such a really bad state when they moved their servers that winter.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was something I thought about every single day. And I think that's something most people don't realize if they don't stream, or if they don't stream aggressively.
Right.
Because people say that they're streaming as a profession, and then they say they're streaming it as a hobby, but they don't really talk about the people who get stuck in a position where they have good sense and they're good at streaming. Because for me, it really never was a choice. Streaming doesn't make enough money to cover my bills. It definitely doesn't make enough money to pay for insurance or a savings or a 401k.
Right.
And most people who start streaming right now, like, even if you became partner, getting partnership is just the beginning. You know, like, there are people who get partner that have like 120 viewer average. That's awesome. That's still just the beginning. That is just the beginning of growing your community. And so it's like, okay, even if I manage to get to that point, where am I going to be in 10 years? Is this something that is sustainable enough that I'm going to be able to be a full-time streamer, able to walk away from all of my extra benefits, my work history, being relevant in my field, to be able to consistently and steadily stream for 10 years? And I knew in July, I was like, no, like, right now, I'm not anywhere near a partner. I was pulling in 40 or 50 viewers pretty regularly, but that was not my average. My average was like 35. And so I'm like, if I'm not even averaging 50 viewers yet, I'm nowhere close to the threshold. And so that's one thing that a lot of people don't see. And I would have people come into my stream. I'd have people DM me on Instagram, on Twitter, and they'd be like, what are you doing? Every time I see you, you have 40 or 50 viewers, you've got 60 viewers. And I'm like, what they don't understand is, like, even with that many people in your chat, that's still not your average. Like, most people who are averaging the numbers to get partners, they're actually averaging, like, when you see them, when you're looking at their chat, they have 150 people in there.
Right.
Just because of how long it takes people to trickle in, you know, like, that's one thing that people don't realize. So when I looked at the numbers and I realized, like, I'm not making enough money to cover my rent, my car payment, and all of my groceries, there's no way that I can walk away from a brand new job where they're offering me basically the world on a string. So it was heartbreaking. There wasn't a single day that I didn't wake up and miss Twitch. And I went through a moment. There was a period of time where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this.
Right.
I like to see myself as a realistic person. I'm not overwhelmingly positive. I'm not overwhelmingly negative. I try to be leery of the negatives while remaining hopeful about the positives. But for the most part, I try to look at both sides of everything. But there was a time when things did get very negative for me. And I think it was because I was going so long without streaming, which is something that I'm passionate about. And it's something that helps me feel fulfilled and I feel connected, you know? And I went without it for so long. I think it was for about 4 or 5 weeks. At one point, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to stream again. And Tyler was like, what? And I was like, well, my life would be so much easier. Like, I'm looking for an apartment right now. Right now, I'm in my room that I started off streaming in with my roommate. And I've been looking at apartments because I want my own dedicated stream room where I have no bed in the background and I can decorate and I can do VR, you know, and have like a nice camera angle. And so I'm talking to Tyler and I'm just like, you know, like, if I wasn't a streamer, I would be happy with a 1-bedroom apartment and I wouldn't have to settle for what I can afford. I could get something really nice, like something I really want. And he's like, well, why do you want something really nice? And I'm like, for the Instagram pictures. And he was like, but if you're not, he's like, if you're not streaming, babe, you're not really going to be using Instagram as much. He's like, that's not the point. But so there was a moment where I was just like, my life would just be so much easier if I wasn't constantly like oh my God, I'm gonna be late for stream. Oh my God, I'm out of foundation for stream. I need to run to the store and get mascara. I need to make sure I eat before stream. You know, like there's so much that goes into it. It really dominates your life if you're serious about it. And
Right.
that's what it's such a gray area that no one talks about. They're either like, you're a hobby streamer, and we all know what a hobby streamer is. It's somebody who's sitting at 0 views,
Right.
who they don't take time to grow their Twitter or their Instagram. They're not really putting out content that's going to bring people in. They just press a button to go live and they sit there, and that's it.
Right.
Right. And then you've got like career streamers, and they've got like $5,000 in their setup and an amazing background, and they've got scene changes. Oh God, I really want an animated transition. I'm working really hard to get that. But anyway, it's like you can tell, like you pop into their stream and they have this presence and they're dominating their stream. Like you can just tell. And it's not, when people think of the word domination is like negative or as like Call of Duty. But when I say that, I just mean that their presence really just kind of pulls you in like gravity, and you want to be there. And that's what I've always said. Like, I'm not the best gamer. I'm pretty good, but I'm not the best gamer. And I'm like, I really just want to be the kind of person that people want to be around. Like, I want to develop a community where it's like, had a bad day, I'm going to hang out with Belle. Had a great day, I'm going to tell Belle. Having a kind of day, let's just go see what Belle's up to. Like, that was always my agenda. Oh my God, I just did the thing. And it happens when I'm streaming where I'll listen, so chat will be going. It's not like this. It's not going super fast, but it's going.
Right.
And so I'm on a rant, and I'm like really passionate, and I'm talking about it, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what were we talking about? What? How did we get here?
And so and so the question that at the start of all this was, you know, at one point you had to make a real decision between streaming and then having a job in real life where you're like, you know, this is an actual career with a that has benefits, and you know, if I invest in the 401k, and if I stick with it, I'll get promotions, and I'll advance in a career that isn't me sitting in front of a camera going, hey everybody, don't forget to press like, you know, things like that. And so I guess so when you're making that decision, when you're like, okay, I got this IRL job, pays freaking awesome. Pay is awesome. It's one of those industries that isn't going away. I'll have a job until I decided that I don't want a job, or I can sit in front of camera and worry about, I can stream and realize, I don't have enough foundation day, or crap, I'm out of mascara, or then worry about, hey, does this a lipstick match my shirt, you know, things like that. And so, I mean, so was there a point where you were in that process and you just said that you realized that streaming for you probably in the near term won't be a career because it just doesn't work. But from your perspective, and I'm sure you have people that you've talked to that are in sort of your situation, sort of getting back to the point that we started this conversation with, when being female and being male are two separate experiences, and you can talk about what people think they see, and then there's the actual reality of it. And so I know that you've dealt with trolls, I know you've dealt with idiots, but you have a lot of people in your life that love the crap out of you and that they support you. I gotta say, I've never talked to your boyfriend, I've never met him, but he sounds like a pretty awesome guy, because you know he's honest with you, and he supports you, and he asks good questions, and then he lets you make decisions on your own, and he still loves you. It's like, that's kind of what being married is most of the time. You're like, okay, well, I don't agree with that, but I still love you, you know. But so I mean, I guess sort of talk about your experience along the way from being the hardcore PUBG grinder, 40, 50 viewers. You know, you said that when you transitioned and you realized that streaming, though you miss it, you love it, It's not gonna pay your bills, and you have to be honest with yourself about it. And now you're back, and you're doing Apex, and you're playing Tarkov, you're playing some PUBG. Although I while I miss your PUBG runs, I do understand that the game isn't the same as it used to be. But I mean, sort of talk about your experiences being a woman, because I talk to a lot of female streamers, and some of them are like, yeah, there's trolls, but I hang out with good people. So
Yeah. Okay, so this is when you sent me the prep sheet. I
Yeah.
looked at this and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, how honest are we going to be? And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, it's me. We're gonna full send. We're just gonna commit. Okay, so that's what we're doing.
Just do it. Just be honest with me, because that is the best story. That is be on. And if you and I'll tell people, don't lie to me. If you hate my guts, just tell me. That's all I want to know.
Okay, so being a female streamer is definitely different because, how do I put it's got pros and cons.
Right.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Getting viewership as a girl is easier.
Okay.
Right? The feminism in me is like, you're not saying, but it's true.
Right.
It's true, because I think there's a psychology to it. Most women are probably going to prefer watching male streamers.
Okay.
And most men are probably going to prefer watching female streamers.
Okay.
And it's not even a sexual thing. There's okay, fun fact, most people don't know this, but whenever you go to adopt an animal, like a cat or a dog, they usually recommend that a female owner adopts a male dog and that a male owner adopts a female dog, because they respond better that way.
Okay.
Most of the time. Now, there are instances where that's not true, where female owners bond with female dogs and vice versa. But that's generally how it works. Anybody watching this can Google it. I promise you, it's true. And so I feel like that's true with streamers. I catch myself watching male streamers more than female streamers. Mm-hmm. It's not because I don't have a lot of fabulous female streamers to watch. I have a whole bunch. I could give you a whole list of names of great, lovely, wonderful female streamers.
Right.
But I generally catch myself in Tyler's stream or something like that.
Right.
And so it is easier to get more viewers as a girl, because there's more guys watching Twitch than there are girls. Realistically, more men are playing video games than women. That's something we're going to change. We're working on it.
Yeah.
But so being a girl definitely does help bring people in. But then there's the caveat. A lot of those people are coming in for the wrong reason, which is a big part of why that's why I wear very high necks on my stream. Yes. I actually deleted a couple pictures from my Instagram. I think it was the first month I was streaming, because I had that Instagram before stream. I had that Instagram when I was going to the gym and stuff. And there were pictures on there of me in my everyday life, when I'm not streaming. Mm-hmm. And they were like, well, you're wearing a really short dress. You're showing cleavage. I thought you were against that. And it's no. I am not against people showing cleavage on stream. Right. I personally am choosing not to do that, because the people it brings in, it's not good vibes. It's something I don't want to deal with. So I did delete those pictures, but it's whenever I go out with my friends or my family or my boyfriend, well, before COVID, when I used to go out, I have low cut shirts. I have normal cut shirts, the kind of shirts where if you got any kind of lady anything going on up top, you're going to see cleavage. Okay. That's how a V-neck works on a girl,
It did. Truth. Facts.
It's just the truth, right? You really don't need to be top heavy, but you're still going to see cleavage. Right. And so, I actually work really hard to either I'll wear a sports bra with a V-neck, or I'll wear a high cut shirt just to keep that off stream, because whenever any girl I've seen who's got any kind of cleavage going on, she's getting the kind of attention that you don't really want. She's getting the kind of views that you don't really want. Okay. And if your goal is just success by any means, then yeah, you can do that. If you're willing to deal with the harassment, yeah, you can do that. I personally am not. So that's one of the things that people don't really talk about. You pick and choose how much you're willing to deal with. There's a lot of girls. I actually got into some hot water on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, because I more or less said, if you don't want people sending you dick pics, close your DMs. Like, you have the ability to do that. You have
Right.
the ability to make your account private, or you have the ability to just make it so that only the people you follow can DM you. Because here's the thing that really, really just super irks me.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see girls putting like very, very like full-blown nudes. Let's just be real. They'll put like legit nudes, or they're just wearing a thong, and they'll put that out on the internet for the whole world to see.
Right.
Power to you, sister, if that's what you want to do. I think you should put it on OnlyFans, make a little money off of it, but whatever. You want to put it on Twitter, you do you, boo.
Right.
And so they'll do that. And then you'll also see them tweeting, well, I'm getting these random dick pics. The key word here is random. Like, I personally have never seen a girl been like, oh my God, I cannot believe this guy that I've been following for 3 years just slid in my DMs and sent me an unsolicited nude. I've never seen that. It's always, I can't believe these randoms. And it's like, okay, well, this is Twitter. You have some ability to protect yourself. Now, one thing, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but one thing that a lot of people don't know about me is that I was mugged in broad daylight in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
It was a safe part of town. I was walking to brunch and I got mugged. They took my necklace. Dude took my cell phone. He punched me at least 8 times on the back of my head, because that's how many different bruises they could count. Wow. Dude was just wailing on the back of my head. I yelled for help. He got away. I was very fortunate in the instance that, I wasn't permanently hurt. They didn't take anything that wasn't replaceable, but primarily it was the fact that, I'm okay. But I wasn't. Like, I can't go downtown by myself anymore. I'm not comfortable in urban environments by myself anymore. Whenever I went to PAX South. We walked around the river in San Antonio, and I was glued to my friend's hip because it was dark and I was somewhere I didn't know, and it was like very populated.
Right.
And so when you go through that kind of trauma and that kind of violation, it changes you. It changes the way, or for most people, I can't say for everyone because I haven't lived everyone's life, but for me, it's like, if I go to a restaurant, things are different. Like, anytime I'm in a crowd, things are different now. And so I get really frustrated when I see people on Twitter and they're putting this content out there, content that is going to attract the attention of people who are looking for that kind of content. Right. And then they're complaining about it. And it's like, you want to complain, that's fine, but please God, do something to protect yourself. Take some kind of action, And I got a lot of feedback. A lot of people actually told me, they're like, well, that's rape shaming reworded. And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm saying protect yourself. Like, I am asking people to do something rather than to just sit and hope and complain and then go through the same circle all over again. Like, it's not healthy. It's not good for people. And I got a lot of backlash for that. What a lot of people know is I also got a lot of DMs of people saying, hey, I know how you meant it. I know who you are. Don't take their replies personally. Right. People read to reply. They're not reading to understand. They misunderstood you, and they're not trying to understand you, even when you explain yourself. And it's one of those things where it's like, the world right now is so tricky because everyone's like, you have to support females. You do this. If you're a girl, you have to be friends with other girls. No, like, that's not how it works. If I like you, I like you. I don't care if you're a girl or you're not. If you're a girl and I don't like you, that's okay too. Like, people can be like oil and water. Sometimes they just don't mix well. It doesn't mean that you dislike them. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you or that you're jealous or petty or insecure. People can just not vibe. And so that's one thing that I personally really struggle with on Twitch, because there are other female content creators that I've played with, and I just wasn't really feeling it. And it could be something as small as the way that they talked about their community, and I was kind of like, what? Wow. Or the way that they talked about mine. Like, I had a PUBG partner say to me, well, if someone from your community stream snipes me again, I'm going to report them. And I was like, okay, you all never said you had a problem with stream snipers. You didn't have a problem with stream snipers when they were emoting at you on a roof and you got a free kill. You had a problem with the stream sniper when they were trying to kill someone who was also trying to kill you, and they accidentally shot you and you died. That's when you had a problem. Now, if you don't want them to stream snipe you, I'll tell them to stop, and my community will listen to me. Right. But you're not going to threaten my community and tell them say that you're going to report their account and get them banned. Like, that's not okay. From that point on, I unfollowed that streamer, have not interacted with them since, because that just seemed really shitty to me. Right. But you can't say that. right? You have to be friends with everyone. You have to be the streamer that's like, oh my God, thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful for any amount of time or attention that you're going to give me. I just want the exposure. And it's like, no, like that's not real. And I noticed on your sheet that you sent me with the questions, one thing you asked was how you can support female streamers. And that was the one that I actually really thought about. Like it got kind of stuck in my head. And when I woke up and I was putting on my war paint, I was like, you support a female streamer just like you would anyone else. Like that's the truth. You know, like it shouldn't be different. And it kind of bothered me. Not that you asked it, but because I know that question is out there, right? I know that it is. And I'm like, how can women say they want equality if they're expecting to be supported differently? The only caveat I would make there is if you see a woman dealing with some kind of toxic behavior, just be a little patient with her. A lot of people will be like, oh, well, just don't let it bother you. Don't let it get to you. It doesn't work like that. Like most people sitting in front of a camera, they feel a little vulnerable, even if they've got thick skin. Yep. If you manage to get under their skin, they're either going to end the stream or they're going to be in a little bit of a riled up mood, or they might even, they might shut down a little bit. I personally don't relate to that. I don't shut down.
Nope, you don't.
But
you do not shut down. You're like, hey, I will handle my business in my stream.
Yeah. So, yeah, I do know that there are people who they kind of just like, they bottle and they turtle a little bit. They pull into their shell and I'm like, oh no, you're not. Like, this is not, so I can't relate. I'm sorry. I know it happens. But realistically, guys go through that too. Sorry, something's falling off my desk. So yeah, my answer to that is support a female streamer the same way you would support any other streamer. That's the truth. It shouldn't be any different. I did work with a guy who would pop into my stream and he would give me his Prime sub and I was supposed to be so grateful. And I was just like, hey, whatever. And he would always refer to my community as a bunch of white knights. Now, here's the thing. I know that you're not allowed to say white knight or simp or whatever on Twitch anymore, which I think is kind of weird because you can still say a lot of expletives towards women and not get banned. So I'm like, how does that work? But I will say I did personally get really pissed off by someone calling my community white knights because I pride myself on the fact that the vast majority of the people in my stream don't want to sleep with me. I know because the ones that did left when they found out I had a boyfriend. So I'm really proud of that. I'm like, these people are here because they want to hang out. They're here because they respect me, not because they're trying to sleep with me. And I don't like that you're calling them white knights. They're protecting me because they believe in me, not because they're just robots, you know? And he would, oh, well, they're white knights. And it's like, no, like, just stop. Like, it's okay to use that term as a joke. But whenever people have created a community and they've poured their time and their energy and their passion into it, and they've made real lasting friendships and bonds, and somebody tries to diminish that by calling them simps or white knights, it's one thing to joke about it. It's something else to say it seriously. You know what I mean?
So when people in your chat say, I appreciate the fact that you aren't a booby streamer, how's that land with you?
Oh, it makes me mad. It makes me so mad.
Okay.
Honestly, it's one of those things where I'm like, don't get mad. Don't control your, in my head is like, control your face. You need to control your face. You need to. And so I'll think when that happens, I'll specifically take the time to think of something positive. It's usually something to do with my cat or my boyfriend or whatever I just recently ate.
Okay.
Those are the things that like take me to my happy place. Unless I eat something bad, and then that's just like not a good idea. But anyway, yeah, I try to stay calm and remind them and actually educate them that, you know, putting another woman down is not lifting me up. You slandering a whole group of people for feeling confident enough in their body to do that does not make me feel good about myself. It's something I really can't stand. It's kind of like pitting women against each other. And I don't like it. I really like to stay in my own lane. I feel like that comparison is the thief of happiness. If you're comparing yourself to other people, you're doing yourself a disservice because no two people are the same. Um, no, it happens more often than I care to admit.
Okay.
If I'm in a bad mood, which sometimes I am, like if I'm tired or I'm cranky or somebody was just mean,
Wait.
I'll just ban them.
I was like, wait a minute. That never happens. I mean, you're never in a bad mood, are you?
I am a moody streamer. I can acknowledge that 100%.
Yes, you are.
I don't know why they put up with me, but yeah, I'm a moody person. I think that people like that. I think it lends an air of reality. People can tell that I am a real person because I am moody. You can tell when I'm really happy.
Mhm.
You can tell when I'm bored. You can tell when I'm tired. And there is no missing it if I'm angry. Like
Nope, not at all.
it's there in neon lights.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's my roommate actually talked to me about that. She was like, I hear you ban people. I hear the things you say. And she's like, I don't know how you do that, because if I was streaming and I was trying, I would want every single view. She's like, I would probably just deal with it. And I was like, yeah, a lot of streamers are like that. And she's like, so why don't you? And I'm like, cause fuck that. Like, no, no, like,
Right.
no amount of success is worth feeling miserable for. No amount of success is worth selling out for, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And so when people come in and they say something mean, or they say, oh, thank God you're not a titty streamer, or I'm so glad I can't see your boobs, I'm just kind of like, people like you are why I don't show cleavage on stream. Do you understand that? That's what I want to say. Like, if I wasn't trying to be polite and like keep the entertainment level for the rest of the people in the stream, that would be my response. Like, you're the problem. Like, people like you are the problem. And I don't want you in my chat. You're not complimenting me. And a lot of guys, I'm like, that's not really a compliment to me. Like, that's not okay. A lot of guys will be like, well, I meant it as a compliment. And that's worse. Like, that's honestly worse, because they're defending themselves. And I'm like, okay, like, I don't care how you meant it. I care how you said it. And you never should have said it. It's a line that you don't cross. It is not a compliment. Like, no, I don't know. You don't thank someone for doing, like, it's my body. I wear what I want to wear. So yeah, no, it's one of those things that, so I have a niece, she's about to turn 12. And I keep her in mind when I stream.
Okay.
And she was a huge, did I want to deal with the negative, nasty people making comments about my body? No. But she was also a huge factor, because I knew that I could deal with them if it meant I would get success a little bit quicker. Because you can always put your skin out there, get the viewership, and then decide to wear a pullover. Like, you can always take that back. But what I didn't want was, I didn't want my niece to think that that was what success looked like. So she pops in my stream sometimes. Most people don't know that, because she doesn't really talk a lot. But I didn't ever want her to see me. So she calls me Auntie A, because my first name is Ashley. A lot of people assume that my name is Belle, but it's just part of my gamer tag. And I go by it because this is the internet and people are weird. So
they are.
It's safer to just let people assume. So she'll call me Auntie A. And like, the last thing that I ever want is for my sweet little 12-year-old niece to pop into my stream and be like, Auntie A, like, will you buy me a push-up so that people will like me? Like, I don't want that ever. So she was a big part of my decision not to do that, as well as, yeah, like I said, it's just gross. I showed cleavage on stream one time that a lot of people don't know about, because I deleted the VOD like the same day. So it was kind of a fuck you moment when I did it, because people told me, you'll never get affiliate unless you show cleavage. That's what I was told. I've been gaming since I was like tiny. My mom bought a PlayStation. We would take turns playing on it. The OG PlayStation. We would play Tomb Raider, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro. And so I've been gaming. I played World of Warcraft all throughout high school, and I had a lot of friends in gaming. So I felt very confident. I was like, affiliate shit, I'm going to crush that. No big deal. People were like, no. My buddy Avian, I love him. I know him in real life. I knew him. Let me strike that. I know him in person, because Twitch is as much as my real life as the people who are physically here. But I know him in person. I knew him before I started streaming. And he told me, he said, you're never going to get affiliate without showing boobs. And I was like, challenge accepted. Hold my beer. So I got
Challenge accepted.
affiliate.
Hold my beer. Hold on. Let me write that down on my notes. I want to pull that quote.
I
Hold
swear to God,
my beer. Okay, got
that
it.
was I swear to you, that was exactly what I thought. I was like, it's done. It's in the bag. I got affiliate. My very first stream was January 10th, 2018.
Mhm.
I streamed, I think 4 times, maybe 5 times before they sent me the affiliateship email. So my very first stream was the 10th. I got the email on January 18th. I didn't stream every single day. I got the email on January 18th offering me the affiliateship. There was something wrong with my paperwork and I had to actually fill it out again. So I didn't actually get approved to be an affiliate until January 26th. But the offer came in on the 18th. So it literally took me 8 physical days to get affiliateship. And the hardest part of that was getting enough followers because I didn't really physically know 50 people who I could get to follow me. But getting the 3 viewer average, that was nothing because I had an entire guild in World of Warcraft. My mom plays video games, my older brother, my dad. That was really easy. So on the I think it was the 27th. No, it was the 26th. So I think the affiliateship had to have come through sooner because it was a Saturday. It was the 26th. Me and my roommate, we did a celebration stream. Mm-hmm. And just to be like, fuck you, Avian, whom I love, I wore a really low-cut V-neck sweater, and my roommate did too. And we were taking shots, and we're having a lot of fun. And that was the moment when I knew, never. Like,
wow.
I didn't really want to because I knew that I wouldn't like the vibes. I didn't want to set a bad image for my niece. Like I had all of these reasons, but then I did it as a joke. And it was like, oh God, no, because what I experienced, like the amount of people who came into my stream and the things that they were saying. And I think the absolute worst part, like the part that really sealed the deal for me were the people who did it that I already knew.
So that little bit right there was like, that's the reason that I enjoy being around you is because you're like honest about it. Mm-hmm. And you're like raw and you don't care that people might react to it a certain way. I have come into your chat multiple times and I said that if my granddaughter grows up to be like you, I'd be totally fine with that. And so I guess my question is, where does that honesty come from? Because at some point in your life, you have to make a decision. I really don't care what other people think. My personal well-being is more important than trying to gain the approval of people who couldn't care any less. Right?
Okay. Yeah. So I can tell you, okay. I can tell you exactly where it came from, but it's going to come with a little bit of a rant. So I'm just going to warn you.
Go ahead.
So I dated a guy on and off for about 4 years. Mm-hmm. I met him when I was 21, and it was the most unhealthy relationship of my life. Right. And I made myself smaller to please him. He couldn't marry me unless I was his equal. And being his equal meant I had to get a degree. And I hadn't gone to school because I didn't want to take out student loans to pursue a degree that I wasn't sure about because it's a lot of money. And I didn't really know what I wanted. And again, it's going to sound kind of arrogant. I don't mean for it to, but I'm good at a lot of shit. Like if I try something, I'm generally pretty decent at it. And that's because I'm a hard worker. Mm-hmm. I'm not the most talented person in the room, but you don't need to be. Like if you can be really hardworking and you can put in effort and you can teach yourself and you can learn and you can put all of that into it, you're going to succeed at least a little bit. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was like, there are so many choices. Like I could go into communications. I did 2 years of graphic design at school. I could do that. Mm-hmm. I could go into education, which was my first choice actually, because I love teaching and helping people. And so there were just so many options. And I was like, I know, like I grew up in a family that didn't have a lot of money. Like the church brought us food at one point in a winter just so we could survive.
Right.
My parents were very hardworking, but there were 5 of us, you know? Yep. And so there were 5 kids. And so it was like, we grew up and I knew that struggle and I knew what being in debt felt like. And I didn't want to take out a student loan just to fuck around and go to frat parties. So
right.
I meet this guy, and like from the jump, he's like, I want an equal. I want somebody who's a breadwinner that can bring just as much to the table as I do. So I start going to school. And then he breaks up with me during finals every single time for 2 years.
Wow.
So I ended up having to withdraw from the classes that I could, and the classes I couldn't withdraw from, I failed. And so here I was in like $18,000 worth of student loan debt because I was trying to please him, because I cared so much about what he thought. He cheated on me. I forgave him. He pushed me down a flight of stairs. I forgave him.
Wow.
In the beginning, it was mostly mentally and emotionally abusing, and I didn't know that it was abuse, because when it starts out, you don't realize what gaslighting is. You know, I didn't even know that was a term. I didn't know what stonewalling was. And so it went on for 4 years, and then after the 3rd year, it got more and more physical.
Wow.
And so finally, we got into a fight, and I yelled at him, I hate you. I hate you when you're like this. And I yanked the bathroom door shut behind me. He threw his iPhone. I think it was like an iPhone 4 at the time. He threw it so hard, it actually lodged in the door.
Wow.
He then broke the door down. He then ripped the door off the hinges and threw it at me. Now, he was drunk, and he didn't really have the best motor function, so he didn't hit me with the door.
Right.
But it scared the shit out of me. I left 3 days later.
Right.
But then for years and years, it kept coming back up. He wanted to get back together. He would show up at my apartment. You know, he would email me. He would text me. He's emailed me multiple times since I met Tyler last February. I left this man in July of 2014. So it has been more than 6 years. This person is still contacting me.
Wow.
But after I left, it took a long time to heal. I ended up going to therapy, not after him, but after my very next relationship after him ended badly. And so I ended up going to therapy because I was like, I don't want to deal with these feelings anymore. Like this is it. It was more of actually, it's not so much I don't want to deal with it. It was like, I need to finally deal with it because I can't go through this again. But anyway, so when I left him, he kept pulling me and pushing me away for years. And that was actually why I started streaming. It was New Year's Eve, 2017, or it was about to be 2018. And my roommate had found a German Shepherd puppy. She was about 4 months old. We called her Cardi B, by the way. She was running around our cul-de-sac, and it was like 15 degrees out. And we didn't know who she belonged to. So we took her in, and my roommate had just started dating this guy. He flew her up to New York so they could be in Times Square for the ball drop. And so it was just me and Cardi B. And I was like, I know that he's not thinking about me right now. I don't want to be thinking about him anymore. So I deleted almost 200 people from my Instagram, cell phone, and Facebook. Like not 200 total, but like from all of those, it was around 200 connections if you add them all up. And it was pretty much it was almost everyone I had met through him, including my very best friend who was married to his brother. And I was like, I need a clean slate. And so I started streaming, and I made a promise to myself that no matter what anyone said to me, and granted, at that point, I was about 25 pounds heavier than I am now. I was in the worst shape physically of my life, physically, emotionally, and mentally, worst shape I'd ever been in my life. But I made a promise. I was like, I'm going to be me no matter what. I'm not going to change for anyone else, not in front of the screen, not in any relationship, period. I will never make myself smaller to try and fit into the tiniest little hole in someone's heart. I deserve better than that. And it was a really, really difficult time because in that moment, I had to come face to face with not only how he had treated me, but how I had allowed him to treat me and how I had treated myself. Because people can't treat you any certain way unless you let them, you know? Like you make the choice to allow that behavior. And so that was when I knew my community is not all inclusive. We're not going to have any assholes here. We're not going to have bullies. We're not going to have anyone here that makes other people feel less than. If somebody's got to shrink to feel good about themselves or to feel like they're loved, if you have to bring yourself down and make that shine kind of low, anyone who's inflicting that feeling has got to go. Whether they're inflicting it on me my communities, my mods, whoever. And I knew that pretty much right away. And so going into stream, a lot of people warned me, like, you can't be that, you shouldn't say things like that. You can't be that honest. You can't be that direct. You shouldn't just unfollow people on Twitter. But I just leaned into it. I knew that I've never had a personality that does well in moderation, ever, ever. So it's like either I can be very meek and mild and very demure, or I can be very passionate and very bold and very strong. And the reality is that was being weak and soft-spoken and just like, it's never been me. That's not who I am. And so I just kind of knew. And I just want to throw this out there for anybody who watches this. It's kind of off topic a little bit,
Sure.
but it's a thing that's very near and dear to my heart. I actually mentioned this in my stream the other day. Anyone who pushes you and pulls you back and forth like that, that's not love. Period. That is not love. And it's easy to feel like it is, because when you're with someone that you love, your body releases oxytocin. It's actually a chemical in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes it feel so, so good when you're around that person. And when you're not around them and you catch yourself missing them and you're kind of like having like withdrawal from them, please notice I said that in a very negative way.
Yep.
That's you missing the oxytocin. You're not missing them. You're missing the way your body feels. And whenever you start jonesing for another fix and you're willing to do anything to see them again, including degrade yourself, let them treat you badly, let them mentally, physically, emotionally abuse you.
Right.
That's an addiction. That is not love. Okay. So that's not something that you need to hold on to. It's going to be hard, but the only way to get away from it is cold turkey. You have to cut that person and people who bring them up out of your life, because the people that love you are not going to hurt you ever. Like, sometimes you're going to get hurt inadvertently, but someone who loves you is not going to constantly put you in a position where you're getting hurt,
right,
where you're in the crossfire. So that is something that I really preach really, really hard in my community. It's something I strongly believe. If someone's treating you badly, you got to walk away. That is what Twitch is. Twitch literally means that you never have to be alone. You don't have to deal with your life or your bullshit or your problems by yourself. There's always someone in every niche who's there to talk to you, to help you through it. So just reach out to people, like just get out of those crack relationships
right,
that keep you in a loop, because they're so unhealthy and they're so damaging. It took me 4 years to get to a place mentally and emotionally where I could be vulnerable enough to love someone else in a way that was healthy and whole, without making myself small and weak and trying to be less so that they could feel like they were more. There's actually a song, there's a lyric, and she says, alpha playing beta not to upset your ego. And I felt that in my bones, because I do have a very like dominant personality.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Like, I tried to be like the beta version of Ashley so that he could feel like the strong alpha male. And Tyler, my boyfriend, he said, well, Ashley, a real alpha is never going to ask you to be anything you're not. They're going to feel confident and secure in their self. Whatever you are does not impact what they are. So yeah, that's the whole story of how I knew that I was really going to just see. I was able to bring it full circle that time, but
you did.
That was how I knew that never again, not ever.
So
and I try to do that for other people. I try to remind them to be wholly themselves.
And that so that mindset can be, it's very empowering, but it can also be extremely overpowering. How do you mediate yourself to know, okay, this is where I'm strong, and then this is where my how to phrase this? This is where my overall experiences cross a line to where I'm now smacking people in the face with who I am.
Oh, it gets me in trouble.
Okay.
It absolutely does. The only way you can counter that is to be really honest and humble.
Okay.
I saw it on Pinterest. There's a phrase, and it said, It's very simple.
Mhm.
It said, when you're wrong, say you're wrong.
Okay.
When you're wrong, say you're wrong. And so I've found, because I do have a very loud personality and I am moody, and those two things together, if you ever look at my Twitch, you'll see that it says highly passionate, sometimes confused as being highly aggressive.
Right.
And so Tyler and I say that back and forth. That was actually the thing that he read on my profile that kind of made him interested in me, was he was like, it's passion, not aggression. And so that's something you'll hear us say to each other because we relate to it. But a lot of people think that I'm a very aggressive person, and I'm not. I'm actually a very passionate person. I'm not afraid of confrontation, but most of the time, if I'm going into a fight with someone, it's because I'm trying to fight for them. I'm trying to get through that fight for us to be friends,
Right.
rather than fighting against them to like make them feel like they're an asshole or some shit. Like
Right.
most of the time, if I'm putting the effort into it, it's because I'm invested. I'm not going to fight for something I don't give a fuck about. Like that's just not me. But yeah, there have been times like last night, perfect example. Somebody had tweeted, and they were thanking people. They were like, I'm feeling so much love and support. And they thanked all these people and they added them. And I thought somebody had put, they were like, oh, it's no big deal, shrug. They actually put shug, like as in sugar.
Right.
But I thought that I glanced at it because I was streaming. So I just glanced at it and I was like, oh, who shrugs? Like, why would you do that? And people in my chat were like, well, shrug kind of means like it's no big deal. And I was like, well, yeah, but if someone is thanking you, like the gracious thing to do is just say that you're welcome, or I'm happy to do it, or it was really no trouble. You don't shrug. You don't fucking shrug. Like that is so rude.
Right.
And it was me being me. Like,
Right.
that's my personality. Like, this is how I feel about it. Does it mean that it's the only answer? It's automatically the right answer? No, I know that. But in that moment, like, I felt so passionate about it. And so my buddy Will, he was like, well, shrug can mean this, you know? And I was like, I just think, you know, like you should just be gracious or whatever, like everything I just said to you.
Right.
And so I'm playing The Sims because I was really tired. And then all of a sudden, he says something else about it. And I was like, are we really still going on about this? Like, okay, I don't agree with you. Whatever. It's not a big deal. Let's just drop it.
Right.
And he immediately after that, he's like, sorry, I'm on a 2-minute delay because I'm watching on mobile. And I was like, oh. And so I was like, can someone please type in chat? Let him know I'm going to snap at him just a little bit because I didn't know that he was on a 2-minute delay. I feel like an asshole. And so he's one of my friends that I met before Twitch. He's actually on Twitch because he made an account to give me his Prime sub.
Okay.
And then he started streaming, which is actually really cool. It's like, oh my God, I had a huge impact on someone's life. That's so freaking awesome.
What?
But yeah, but so he texted me and he's like, hey, it's no big deal. And I got really lucky because it was Will. And he's one of those people who's super laid back and super understanding. But there have been so many times, like Stray Bullet came to my chat and he was like, glad to see you back on Tarkov, or welcome back. That was the phrase, welcome back to Tarkov.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was streaming, my eyes just kind of glanced. And so it's really easy to skip over one word. And I was like, what do you mean, welcome to Tarkov? Like, I've got over like 5,000 hours, like over 500 hours in this game. Like,
right.
What are you talking about? And he was like, Belle, can you learn to read? And I was like, wait, hold on. And so I just leaned in and I'm scrolling. And I was just like, oh man. I was like, I'm sorry. And he goes, it's okay. It's not a big deal. But so like, that's what I found. Even when you have a very loud, very boisterous personality, when you're super spunky, if you take a step back and you can admit when you're wrong and you can mean it and you can say it like point blank, most people are going to be, they're going to be willing to forgive you. Most people are satisfied with the fact that you genuinely do feel bad. Right. I don't say I'm sorry very often in my personal life, in my professional life, or on stream. It's not something that you'll hear me say very, very often. And the reason for that is because if I say it, I want you to know I mean it. Right. So I'm not gonna say it. And so my boss will come to me and she'll be like, so this happened. And I'll be like, okay, well, I did for XYZ. So what's the issue? And she'll be like, well, it's an issue for this reason. I'm like, okay, how do I fix it? Mm-hmm. And so she'll tell me how to fix it. I'm like, I will go fix this right now. She's content with that. What did I say? I said I'd fix it. What did I not say? The word sorry. Right. Right. It's not going to happen. I will take ownership and I will go and I will correct the problem. I will not say the word sorry unless I really, really mean it. And that way, when I say it, when I really say it, and like, dude, fucked up and I'm sorry and I want to make it right. most of the time people are like, okay, you crossed a line, but I can tell that you mean it and we're going to work on it together. That's how it goes 99% of the time. That's how it goes most of the time.
All right.
But yeah, I think I answered it.
I think you did. Belle, that last like 30 minutes right there, we could probably break it down into some serious content and turn you into a life coach or something. I mean, it's serious good stuff there. Belle, you're awesome. I am grateful that you made time for me. I'm grateful that you are who you are, because I love the honesty. I tell people I would just rather have you be honest with me. If you don't like me, that's fine. Just don't shine me on. I hate fake people, and you are not a fake person. So if people want to find you, how do they find you?
Twitch.tv/the Iron Belle.
The Iron Belle. And also on Twitter, you'll see that on the overlay at the Iron Belle TTV. Belle, you are a definite one of a kind, and I say it often, and because it's true. If my granddaughter grows up to be like you, I'd be totally fine with that. You are an awesome person. Thank you very much for making time for me today. I appreciate it.
I was happy to. And that's the best compliment. I don't know if I've ever told you that, but that is literally, it's right in the feels. It's one of those moments where it's like, that feels good. It just feels not as a streamer,
right?
Not as a woman, but just as a person. That's one of those things that when someone says that to you, it's like, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. It really means a lot.
You're no problem, Belle. You're welcome, and I do mean that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please do like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll get more awesome people like Belle talking real soon. Thank you, Belle. Thank you, Belle. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you for tuning in today. You can find links to everyone on the show in the description below. Check out Bill the Conqueror on Twitch and Twitter to stay up to date on his thoughts and ideas about gaming culture.